You know that feeling when a room turns mean? How a joke stops being funny the second it lands on someone who can't laugh back. She was just trying to work, hands trembling, eyes red from holding back tears, while two men turned her silence into a show. The plates rattled, the laughter cut sharp, and everyone else did what people do too often: they looked away. Then a man in the corner stood up. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. Keanu Reeves stepped forward, eyes steady, voice calm, and what he did next taught the room that kindness should be quiet but never invisible. Before we continue, thank you for watching and sharing these stories, because what we build here isn't just entertainment, it's a reminder. That decency still matters. That standing up doesn't always need noise. And if you're new here, welcome. Stay with us till the end, because what Keanu did that night wasn't about anger or revenge, it was about showing the world that real strength begins with compassion. The cafe wasn't fancy, just a small, warm corner of the city where regulars came for comfort more than coffee. It smelled of roasted beans and rain on pavement, the kind of place where time moved slower after dark. The only sounds were the soft scrape of mugs and the hum of tired conversation. For Emily, the young waitress on the evening shift, that hum had become her soundtrack. She'd been working there for 6 months, 6 long months of balancing trays, smiling through exhaustion, and pretending not to notice when customers crossed lines they shouldn't. She didn't complain. She needed the job, needed the money for her mum's medication, for rent, for life to stay afloat. That night she was already on edge. The dinner rush had ended, leaving behind empty tables and the dull ache in her feet. She was wiping down the counter when the door swung open and laughter spilled in, sharp, loud, and careless. 3 men walked in, all leather jackets and swagger, their energy clashing with the calm of the place. "Looks like we've got the place to ourselves, boys," one of them said, grinning as they slid into a booth. Emily forced a polite smile, the kind every service worker learns to wear like armor. "Evening, what can I get you?" The tallest one leaned back, eyeing her with the lazy confidence of someone who thought the world owed him attention. "Start with a smile, sweetheart. A real one this time." The other two laughed. Emily's grip tightened on her notepad, but she stayed calm. "Coffee, anything to eat?" "Yeah," the leader said, his grin widening. 3 coffees, black, and maybe you sit with us while we wait. It's quiet tonight, isn't it?" She gave a small shake of her head. "I'm working, sir." "Working?" one of them echoed, mocking her tone. "Come on, we're just being friendly." But it wasn't friendly. Not the way their eyes moved, not the way their words bent. It was the kind of friendliness that made people shrink. At the back of the cafe, a man quietly folded his newspaper. He'd been there for nearly an hour, unnoticed, a dark jacket, simple jeans, long hair brushing his shoulders. Keanu Reeves didn't stand out because he didn't need to. He had that stillness that draws attention without asking for it. He watched the exchange carefully, not because he wanted to interfere, but because he could feel where it was heading. He'd seen this pattern before: arrogance disguised as humor, cruelty passed off as charm. He knew the weight of silence too well. Emily brought their coffees, setting each cup down without meeting their eyes. One of the men whistled low. "You nervous, darling? Don't be. We're good guys." "Sure," she murmured, stepping back. The leader grabbed his spoon, stirring his coffee lazily before saying, "You got a boyfriend?" Her breath caught. "I'm sorry, I don't." "Relax, it's a question," he interrupted. "You can say no." "I'm working," she said again, her voice thinner now. He leaned forward, smirking. "So that's a no." The laughter came again, filling the cafe like static. People at other tables glanced over, uncomfortable, but no one said anything. One couple even stood up quietly, paid, and left. Keanu exhaled through his nose. Same story, different day. The world always found a way to test its decency. When Emily turned away to the counter, the leader snapped his fingers. "Hey, we're talking to you." She froze, turned halfway, and whispered, "Please, I just need to do my job." That was when the second man stood up, walking over to her. "You think you're too good to talk to us, too pretty for a little conversation." Emily took a step back, her back hitting the counter. Her voice barely came out. "Please don't." The man leaned closer, his smirk twisting. "Come on, smile for us. It's not that hard." And then the sound of a chair scraping broke the moment. Keanu stood. The movement was quiet but heavy, the kind of shift that changes the air in a room. His eyes locked on the men, calm but sharp enough to cut glass. He didn't say anything at first, just started walking toward them, slow, deliberate. The second man turned around, annoyed. "What's your problem, mate? You got something to say?" Keanu stopped a few steps away. His voice was even. "Yeah," she said, "stop." The men laughed, all three of them. "Oh, look at this, Captain Save a Waitress," the tall one sneered. "You gonna lecture us, old man?" Keanu's expression didn't change. No lecture, just advice. The leader stood now, his grin fading into something colder. "And what's that?" Keanu took one step closer, eyes never leaving his. "Leave, while you still remember how to." Silence. For the first time that night the laughter stopped. The air between them thickened, heavy with challenge. Emily's heart raced. The cafe had gone still. Even the hum of the coffee machine seemed to quiet. Then the tall man scoffed. "You don't scare us, man. You think you're some kind of hero." Keanu tilted his head slightly. "No, I just don't like bullies." The leader smirked, trying to shake off the tension. "You should mind your own business." Keanu's voice dropped lower. "She is my business now." The man stared, weighing the words, looking for weakness. But there wasn't any. Just that calm, unblinking stare that said everything without saying much at all. Finally the leader scoffed and turned away. "Whatever, man, we were leaving anyway." He threw a few bills on the table, muttering something under his breath. As they walked out, one of them brushed Keanu's shoulder, just hard enough to provoke. Keanu didn't move, didn't blink. He watched them go until the door closed behind them. Then he turned back to Emily, who was standing frozen near the counter. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. She nodded, but tears filled her eyes. "I didn't think anyone would say anything." Keanu gave a faint smile. "Most don't, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't." He started to leave, but Emily called out quietly, "Thank you." He paused, nodded once, and walked into the night. Outside, the laughter echoed down the street, those same three voices, still loud, still proud. Keanu stopped on the sidewalk, the glow of a street lamp casting his shadow long and still. He watched them turn the corner and disappear into an alley behind the bar across the street. He stood there for a long second, silent, hands in his pockets, that calm expression back on his face. But inside something else was moving, quiet, steady, unshakable. Because deep down, he knew this wasn't over. Not yet. The night had turned colder. The street outside the cafe shimmered under weak orange lamps, puddles reflecting fragments of light and shadow. Most people had gone home. The city had shrunk into silence, broken only by the sound of a distant siren and the echo of laughter fading around the corner. Keanu stood still on the pavement, his hands in his pockets, his breath misting faintly in the chill. He didn't rush. He rarely did. But behind that calm expression was a storm that had been building for years, the same kind that rises when a good person sees something ugly and decides not to walk away. He crossed the street slowly, boots splashing through shallow puddles, the faint creak of leather echoing against the quiet. Ahead, the three men from the cafe had stopped near a closed bar, half-lit neon flickering over their shoulders. They were still laughing, but the sound was forced now, the kind of laughter men use to drown out the guilt they pretend not to feel. "Man, did you see that guy's face?" the tall one said. "Like he actually thought he scared us." The second one snorted. He looked like some washed-up actor. What was he even doing in that place? "Doesn't matter," the leader replied. "He got lucky we didn't decide to teach him a lesson too." Keanu stopped a few paces away, his voice steady, calm. "Lesson S still waiting." The three turned. Their smiles faltered. "You again," the leader scoffed. "What, you following us now?" Keanu didn't answer. He stepped closer, the kind of step that doesn't make noise but changes everything. "You humiliated a woman for sport," he said quietly, then laughed about it. "That doesn't sit right." The tall one chuckled, though his eyes darted nervously. "Oh, come on, man, you gonna preach now?" Keanu shook his head. "No, I'm done talking." The street seemed to shrink around them, the air tighter, colder, quieter. Even the flickering sign above the bar stuttered once before going out completely. The leader smirked again, trying to reclaim his confidence. "You really don't know who you're messing with." Keanu's eyes flicked to his hands, no weapons, no preparation, just tension. I don't need to. The first man moved fast, faster than his mouth had been all night, throwing a wide punch meant to intimidate. Keanu slipped sideways, caught the wrist mid-swing, and redirected the energy with surgical precision. The man hit the pavement before he realized what happened, gasping as his breath was knocked out of him. The second lunged from behind, but Keanu turned with a sharp pivot, elbow connecting squarely to his ribs, sending him sprawling into a trash bin. The crash echoed through the alley. The leader backed up, his smirk gone now. Hey, calm down. But Keanu didn't look angry. That was the terrifying part. He looked disappointed. You think what you did in there was funny, he said quietly. You made someone cry, you made her feel small, and you laughed. That's not a joke. That's who you are when no one's watching. The man stammered, Look, we didn't mean anything. Keanu stepped closer, just enough for the man to see the depth in his eyes, not rage, but something colder and far more serious. Then mean something better next time. He took one more step forward and the man flinched. Keanu stopped, studied him for a moment, then said, You've got 5 seconds to leave. Take your friends and go. No one moved. The man blinked, disbelief mixing with fear. Keanu tilted his head slightly. 4. That did it. The leader stumbled back, grabbing the other two. Let's go, man, forget this. They hurried off, their swagger replaced by the clumsy panic of men who'd just been reminded they weren't invincible. Keanu watched them go until they disappeared into the night. Then slowly, he exhaled a long, quiet breath that carried no pride, just release. He turned and started walking back toward the cafe. Inside, the lights were dimmer now. The tables had been cleared, chairs stacked, and the smell of coffee still lingered in the air. Emily was still there, sitting at one of the booths, hands clasped tight around a mug of tea she hadn't touched. Her manager had offered to close up, but she'd asked to stay, saying she needed a minute to calm down. When Keanu walked back in, the bell above the door gave a soft ring. Emily looked up, startled. You came back. He nodded once, wanted to make sure you got home safe. She tried to smile, though it trembled. You didn't have to. I know, he said. That's why it matters. She looked down, voice soft. People saw, no one said anything. They will next time, Keanu said, because now they've seen what silence looks like and what it costs. Emily wiped her eyes. You didn't even know me. He smiled faintly. You don't have to know someone to care that they're being hurt. For a while, neither of them spoke. The cafe hummed quietly around them, the city outside slowing down to its quiet rhythm. Finally, Emily said, I thought the world didn't have people like that anymore. Keanu looked out the window. It does. They just forget they can be that person. He stood, reaching into his jacket, pulled out a folded note, and placed it beside her mug. If anyone ever makes you feel unsafe again, call this number. They'll help. She looked at the paper, confused. Who is it? Keanu gave a small smile. A friend, one who believes people deserve peace. He turned to leave, but she said his name quietly. Mr. Reeves, why did you really step in? He paused, his hand on the door. Because once someone did it for me. And then he was gone. Outside, the rain began again, light at first, then steadier. He walked through it without rushing, his shoulders relaxed, eyes calm. The kind of calm that comes after doing something you didn't plan but couldn't ignore. He passed the corner where the 3 men had stood. The street was empty now, washed clean by rain. But on the ground near the curb, something caught his eye, a wallet. He picked it up, flipped it open. Inside was a photo, one of the men, smiling with a little boy on his shoulders. A son, maybe 8 years old. Keanu stared at it for a long moment, then tucked it back in the wallet. He didn't say anything, but his face softened. He knew the man would be back for it. Maybe he'd think about what kind of example he wanted to be when his son grew up. That was the hope, anyway. He placed the wallet on the cafe doorstep, under the awning where the rain couldn't reach, and kept walking. By the next morning, the story had spread. Someone had filmed the moment he stood up, posted it online, a blurry clip of a man stepping forward while others froze. Keanu Reeves defends Waitress from harassment. Millions of views, thousands of comments. But Keanu didn't read them. He was on set that morning, dressed for another scene, listening as the director gave notes. When a young assistant passed him his phone, showing the video, he just smiled faintly and said, "Let's get back to work." He didn't need the credit. He didn't want it. Later that evening, Emily found a small envelope waiting on the cafe counter. No name, just a folded napkin with a note inside. It read, "The world doesn't need heroes, just people who don't look away." Her eyes welled up. For the first time in a long time, she smiled, a real one. Weeks passed. The cafe moved on. The laughter came back, the noise, the normal rhythm of people's lives. But sometimes when someone raised their voice or crossed a line, others stepped in a little faster. Someone would say, "Hey, not cool." Another would back them up. And though Keanu never returned, his presence lingered in the silence before cruelty, in the courage to interrupt it. That night had changed more than just a few men. It reminded everyone watching that kindness isn't weakness. It's the line that separates who we pretend to be from who we really are. Somewhere across the city, Keanu walked into another quiet cafe, ordered black coffee, and took a seat by the window. The barista smiled, recognizing him but saying nothing. He looked out at the rain, his reflection faint in the glass. People hurried by, heads down, shoulders tight, chasing time. He thought about the girl, the fear in her eyes, the small act that had turned a moment of humiliation into one of hope. Then he smiled just slightly. Because deep down he knew the world was full of noise, but sometimes all it took was one quiet voice to change everything.